It is my very great pleasure to bring up our first keynote of the day, Rajkumari Neogy. Rajkumari's passion is finding the intersection of interpersonal neurobiology, technology, culture, and empathy. She's an incredible coach, and I have personal experience with this myself, possessing a rare blend of technology speak and touchy-feely. She brings keen insights and system thinking to create a provocative and simultaneously holistic experience. We all have a need to belong. We're social creatures, and there's no way getting around that. But what is belonging really? And is it possible for different people to experience different levels of belonging? Can belonging be situationally based? What are simple ways of creating a greater sense of belonging for each of us at work, in our personal lives, and in our communities? So I hope you enjoy this keynote with Rajkumari. Let's give her a standing ovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robin. Let's give a huge round of applause for Robin and Responsive Conference and day 2. And for Robin's crew. Woo! Yeah. Who here is excited about learning about belonging? Who gives a damn about belonging? Yeah. How many of you in the audience know that we're wired to belong? How many of you know this? Raise your hand. Yeah, so a good portion of you. What does that mean? What does that mean? Did I click this button? Look at that, it worked. So I want to talk to you today about 4 levels of belonging that I believe exist in organizations. So some of you might recognize this sign. I spent some time of my career here, and while I was at Facebook, I had an amazing boss. Any of you know Stuart Crabb? Raise your hand. Yes, awesome. Stuart is amazing. If you can ever have coffee with him, please do. But even though Stu, super awesome guy, I didn't like being at Facebook. It was really hard. I never felt a sense of belonging. In fact, I spent most of my time at Facebook feeling incredibly excluded. There were even times that I feared for my own safety and well-being. After 2 years of trying desperately to fit in, what'd I do? Exactly. I quit. And I went to Southeast Asia. I was like, what the F happened, man? That was crazy. And so I started thinking about it. And as I'm doing this reflection and eating a ton of noodles, what you do, right? Southeast Asia. I was like, hey, so I'm noticing these personal and professional challenges in my life are threading back to my childhood experiences. I was like, come on. Can my childhood experiences actually be playing out in workplace dynamics? Yeah. How many of you here? Where do I point this thing? Hold that question. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. How many of you as children grew up feeling loved, supported, held, warmly welcomed? Yeah, good. By one parent, by both parents. Good. Thank you for being vulnerable. How many of you not so much? Yeah, thank you. Me too. Me too, big time. Yeah. To the degree in which we are warmly received as children allows us to learn what is safe and what is less safe. Those formative experiences directly translate into our sense of belonging. And your sense of belonging is embedded right here in this thing. You might not know it, but it's called a body. You have one. It's right here. There is an intricate system designed specifically to keep you safe, to let you know when there's danger, and when there might be a life-threatening moment, whether it's a person or a situation. But belonging doesn't just come from your childhood. There's a new field of science that says that your belonging is actually passed down to you. Your sense of belonging is actually transgenerational. And that sense of belonging comes from this new field of science called epigenetics. What the heck is this word about? Right? This is where I obsess and live my whole life in. Epigenetics says the following. Look, you got cells, you walk around all day, you find yourself in an environment, you got people talking at you, and if you live constantly in a toxic environment, your cells are going to adapt to that. They're going to change the way they show up for you. And then, if you find yourself in a really good environment later that year, because you changed jobs, your cells are going to adapt really beautifully. So thank yourselves in this moment right now. This is Rachel Yehuda. She's awesome. Hey, Rachel. Hey. She's done some amazing work. She is a professor of psychiatry. She's also a professor of neuroscience and the director of the Traumatic Services Division at Mount Sinai in New York. I love her research. It is unbelievable. What she found was a gene in children of survivors of the Holocaust who exhibited identical trauma symptoms, actually lived through the camps. Think about that for a second. These kids are born and are exhibiting the same traumatic symptoms as their ancestors. Like, what the F? Seriously, how's that happening? Her research goes on to say, yeah, but it's not just a couple generations. It's actually 7. Wait, what? That's 210 years. What the heck does 210 years even look like this? Every single one of you is walking around this planet with 210 years of crap. And some really good stuff. We are all carrying the traits, tragedies, and trauma since 1809. So think about, for a moment, just think about what happened in 1809. Yeah, I can't think about that either. But think about your parents. Think about your grandparents. Maybe you know some stories about your great-grandparents. I do. What was that like? If you can, for a split second, you got 3. That's Canadian time. Think of the patterning that might be showing up for you right now from a story that you heard as a child growing up. So some of you are like, oh my God, this is amazing. I can't wait for that break so I can go talk to Rajkumari about all my personal stuff. Maybe I'll get some therapy while I'm here. And others of you are like, yeah, so organizations, what's the point? So I spend my time day after day hanging out in companies, internally or externally, doing executive coaching. And when I am internally based, I'm there from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., most often without a break. And I have a revolving door of employees come in and tell me their stories. And one day, while working at a client, this year actually, I had Amy. Amy came in, and she was like, oh my God, Rajkumari, I don't know what to do. I'm having all of these amazing performance reviews. I've been here 4 years, but gosh, I feel totally disengaged. I think I lost my spark. I think I'm just going to quit. And I said, hold on, hang out with me. Let's see what we can do. She's like, okay. Amy is the chief of staff. Actually, that is her role. And I sat down with Amy on our first session, and I drew out her epigenetic map, which consists of a father, a mother, grandparents, which you all have, whether you grew up with them or not. Biologically, that's where you come from. And I started to ask her some stories. We don't have a lot of time. We have 50 minutes. So she kept them short. But gosh, did we find out some stuff. Her grandfather committed suicide when her father was a young boy. Her dad went MIA when she was a child. See a pattern there? Her mom's awesome. Super, super nice person, just doesn't engage with her. So I asked, well, what's going on with granddad? Not surprising at all. So we spent some time together because clearly there's some issues that we need to address epigenetically, neurobiologically. And I work some magic. We do some repair, some secret sauce stuff. And we bring back into her sense of belonging a little more connection, a little more safety, a little more support, and a little more love. And we can all do this. I'm going to show you that today. It's really easy, actually. 8 sessions later, she comes into the office and she says, oh my gosh, I don't know what we did together. I spent a whole bunch of time crying, mostly. But I feel like a completely different person from when I first walked in. So because I do epigenetic coaching and I'm known for that, I'm also known for this quote. Belonging is the ability to create safety for yourself. Inclusion is the ability to create safety for others. One day I was browsing through my IG feed, and I saw this and I was like, oh, celebrity moment. Wow, super cool. So of course I screen captured it and put it in the presentation to show off. Duh. The first level of belonging is I am safe in my skin. If there are moments in your life that you do not feel safe in your skin, guess what you can do? It's even free. Breathe. Let's do that right now. Again, it's like in the military. When you breathe, on the exhale, you secrete something called acetylcholine. Acetylcholine communicates to the brain, you are safe. So here's a tip. Slow, long, deep breaths. Not just for Buddha. Okay? You walk into a room in a meeting that's tense. Start doing this. I kid you not, you will change the energy in the room. You will start communicating to other brains in the room, safety, and people's nervous system will start to calm down. About 3 years ago, I was coaching an executive team in San Francisco at a startup. And, excuse me, the VP of marketing walks into one of our sessions and she's like, oh my God, let me tell you what happened this week. I was on my way to meet general counsel and I got pulled into a different meeting. Any of you ever have that experience? Never. Okay, good. Head of engineering, head of operations, head of product. Oh my God, hey, this, that, what? And she's like, oh, guys, I'm not prepared for this meeting. I'm so sorry. Can we reschedule? I'm getting defensive. I'm feeling insecure because I don't have the answers. Like, can you just send me an email with the questions and we'll do this next week? What'd they say? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. We were so excited. We saw you. We just wanted to get these quick answers and keep going. But yeah, we'll totally reschedule. How many of you would like that experience? Right? Hey, I'm defensive right now. I can't do this right now. Can I get back to you? Absolutely. Feeling your feelings is so important because it allows you to understand where you are in terms of safety, danger, or possibly a life-threatening situation. And there are life-threatening situations at the office because you're walking around with 210 years of stuff in your cellular biology. So for one person, no big deal. For another person, oh my God, I gotta call my therapist. Like, seriously, we have to start to understand this. So, who here has heard of the fight, flight, and freeze response? Cool, awesome. Who here knows the feelings associated with the fight, flight, and cool? So you tell me if I'm right on track here. No, I'm serious. When you are engaged, you're open, you're curious, you're asking questions, you're relaxed, you're calm. The second you get triggered, holy moly, the slippery slope, and it's quick. These are the feelings associated with fight, flight, and freeze. When you are talking to someone in a meeting, when you are trying to convert a sale with a client, and they are telling you, I am really annoyed right now. I'm so concerned that this isn't going to actually be done. I'm not understanding what you're saying. I'm totally confused here. This is your indicator of how they're showing up. And you can speak to that really nicely. Yeah? What is super interesting about this slide for me is that people get to shame when they are in a freeze state. This is where lawsuits happen. This is where people quit, is when they are in a freeze state. Okay? Feeling your feelings is absolutely critical because every single one of us on this planet, and certainly in this room, understand and have core needs which actually directly correlate to our sense of belonging. We have a need for trust. We have a need for respect. We have a need for connection, warmth, whatever it is for you. And when those needs are being met, I'm seeing Willie Jackson in the audience. I love Willie. When I saw him yesterday, I welled up and I started crying. So I felt safe, felt vulnerable. I felt open with him. When your needs are met, that's your experience. Because needs are the roots to your feelings. This is why becoming masterful in understanding your core values at an individual level, at a team level, at an organizational level, and embodying those values is key. For a lot of different reasons. But the moment you are transgressed or violated in some way by your boundary, you're interrupted, humiliated, ignored, ridiculed, what's going to happen? You're going to stop breathing. That's for damn sure, right? And then you're going to start feeling one of these feelings. And then if you're an executive team, you've been employed for a couple years, this happens every week at 9 a.m. on Mondays, you're going to hate Mondays, right? And if this happens over and over and over again, your brain is going to start registering that as exclusion. And exclusion shows up in the pain centers of the brain. It is as if you are being kicked in the shin. It hurts that much when you get interrupted. The research now shows that we actually can attribute a neurochemical to a need. It's really cool. So, if you have a need for trust, connection, community, transparency, guess what you're doing when you're having that need met? Really feel good stuff. I was in the Healthy Masculinity yesterday with a bunch of people, and we were just dripping oxytocin. It was like oozing all over the place. When you have a need to be seen, heard, find meaning in what you do, you're secreting something called serotonin. when you find purpose, autonomy, and focus, efficiency, success, competence, dopamine. Yeah, or you can get a cup of coffee. I do that every day. Respect and warmth, accompaniment, being supported, connection to self, love. There's a reason we have an opioid addiction in this country. I could stay up on the stage for 14 million hours talking about this, but I want to be kind to the other presenters. Benzodiazepine, a form of Valium. We talk about psychological safety a lot. I was in New Zealand in a workshop. We had just done an activity last November, and someone came up to me and she was like, "Oh my God, that was so amazing, I feel high." I'm like, "Well, did you know that when you're healing from trauma, you're actually secreting endocannabinoids?" And it's true. I didn't actually say that, but I certainly wanted to. That's the geek in me. Risk-taking is about feeling your feelings. When you're feeling your feelings, you are understanding your needs. When you are understanding your needs, you are secreting really good shit. When you are secreting really good shit, you can perform better, you can engage, your productivity levels goes through the roof. And oh my God, it's not surprising, everyone starts to feel safe around you. Wants to hang out with you, because why? You're dripping oxytocin everywhere. What we need to do as organizations is become masterful in surfacing the unmet need, welcoming the feelings in conversation. It's not just about tasks off of my to-do list, ever. Second level of belonging is I am safe to express myself. Now, I'm sure that everyone in this room expresses themselves beautifully, but there might be a moment or two when you find yourself a little challenged. This is a tool that I give to all my clients. Please take a photo of this. This sentence structure is designed specifically to reduce stress hormones and increase all the yummy stuff. I kid you not. Excuse me. So, what's happening when you're triggered? Releasing stress hormones. Hello. Right? So, the sentence goes like this. Even though I'm feeling super frustrated right now, I'm really grateful that I can afford a vehicle to get to where I'm going. Even though I'm really embarrassed that I keep coughing, I am super grateful that I have a water bottle next to me. Right? You are actually swapping out a stress hormone for something delicious. You are all walking pharmacies. Learn to secrete yourselves. That's what your body is there for. So, earlier last year, I was coaching ahead of people in San Francisco, a small startup that recently got bought out and made a heck of a lot of money. Excuse me. And at one point, she's like, "Oh, Rajkumari, can you please come to talk to the CEO and my 12 direct reports around trust?" And I'm like, "Sure." So we're sitting there in the conference room. And at one point, the CEO turns to me and says, "Hey, I have a question about trust." And I'm like, "Hey, I have an answer about trust." And so he asks the question, and I jump up, because there's a whiteboard, and I'm addicted to whiteboards also, besides coffee. And I start writing on the whiteboard. My back is turned to everyone, and I'm excitedly sharing what I'm sharing. And as my back is turned, I hear this sentence. "Wow, your handwriting's really shitty." What would you have done? No, seriously. Like, play out that scene right now. What would you have done?
Throw a marker.
Thank you. Throw a marker. What else? Let's hear some more answers. Stop breathing. Nice. Say thank you. What else? Laugh. Own it. Yeah, 20 years ago as a raging alcoholic, I would have walked the fuck out, man. But I am not there anymore in my life. And I did not do that. So I did take a breath. Remember, my back's turned, right? I take a breath. I move into nonverbal communication immediately. So I extend out my arm to show that I'm going to build a bridge right now. Okay? And then I say this. Awesome. What's going on for you? And she tells me, I am so frustrated right now because I really want to be able to see what you're writing and blah, 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 blah. And she just goes on. Right? So what does she tell me? She's frustrated. Where is she? Fight. Exactly. Great. So she says what she needs to say in front of her CEO and everybody else. And I said, so what you really need is a sense of clarity. She says, yeah. And then we talk about that for the rest of the time. We forgot about trust. We don't care about trust anymore. And now we're doing this, right? When we are triggered, we build relationships from a place of pain. She could have easily said 100 million other things, right? Hey, I actually can't read what that says. Can you say it? What does that say right there? I don't know. That seemed a little connected. When we build relationships from pain, it is because we're experiencing an unmet need. And if over time, this unmet need continues again and again, meeting after meeting with the same person, you are going to find yourself standing here, I kid you not, in the zones of exclusion. So everyone here has two hemispheres in their brain. The left hemisphere is about evaluating, comparing, and measuring. And the left hemisphere does that really well. The right hemisphere is about relationships. The right hemisphere understands I. The left hemisphere does not have a sense of self. The right hemisphere is about interconnectedness. Oh, I'm noticing that there's Shane. I'm just remembering the thing that we did. Just like I'm connected, right? From here, I'm building this relationship. Feelings and needs happen here. Belonging happens here. But we spend most of our time here because why? This is where we are rewarded. This is where we are rewarded. Social media brings us here mostly. So, you're building relationships in pain. You're kind of sucking right now, big time. And you're standing on one of these. You're feeling entitled, victim-y, needy, or righteous. When we are standing in one of these zones, we are communicating to the other person, verbally or non-verbally, one of the following sentences. I am better than you in entitlement. You are doing X to me in victimhood. You are not giving me what I need in neediness. And by the way, I'm right. Just very quickly, these are hierarchical states in the brain. Neediness and victimhood are actually less than states. This registers in the pain centers of the brain. Some people actually become addicted to these states, understandably from epigenetic lenses. But some people actually are like, F that. I'm going to go into entitlement. I'm so much more in control right now. And they hang out there, or they hang out in righteousness. But what is most important to me about this slide is this. When someone is standing in entitlement, it is because they are feeling worthless. When someone is standing in victimhood, they are feeling hopeless. Neediness is helplessness. And righteousness? Absolutely terrified. Let's take this and let's put it onto a team, shall we? That's not doing so hot. Any of you know any of these people? Any of you might be these people? No. Hell no. So let's take a moment of compassion and notice that the bully is feeling worthless. Complainer is feeling hopeless. The caretaker is feeling helpless. And the micromanager is terrified. Okay, now the people ask me all the time, what about caretaker? It's always about giving to the detriment of one of their own needs. Okay? And they end up complaining that they give so much. Well, hello. Third level of belonging is I am safe with my team. Now, I'm sure all of you feel that way most of the time. But if you find yourself in a moment of tension or conflict, and you would like to work through that with your teammate, I invite you to explore generosity in the same way that I did with my client, by turning to her and saying, awesome, what's going on for you? In the moment that you are noticing frustration from your peer or your client, how can you stand in a place of unearthing that unmet need? You might need a booklet. Like, excuse me, 1 second. I just need to. Safety issues, maybe. No. Yeah. You might need some help. You might need to learn that. And that's okay. So everyone, take a deep breath for me. So we got 8 billion people walking around. 210 years of traits, tragedies. You got people who don't have a clue what feelings are. And when they talk about needs, they're needing a cup of coffee, right? And then we have people running around wearing little outfits of bullies and micromanagers. Is there any wonder why Gallup says that our workforce is 85% disengaged? Duh. Not to me. Not to me. But the good news is, in the US, we're trending better. We're only at 66% disengaged. Woo! And the bad news is, we're at 66% disengaged. Just think about this for a second. Imagine yourself in a romantic relationship with someone who's disengaged or actively disengaged 66% of the time. Hey, honey, when do you think come up here? Just think about that. So I run these belonging boot camps internally at companies. And I ran 3 earlier this year. We ended in spring. And there was some really, really, really interesting data that came out of these boot camps. I was asked to put a report together because the cost of the medication that they were paying for was bothering them. They didn't understand why it was costing them so much. And I was like, well, let me give you this presentation. So we run the boot camp. Everyone in the boot camp is a small group, total pool of individuals. And I want to be very clear here. It was socialized to particular ERGs, so it's an opt-in only experience, okay? So there are mostly women in this group. When I'm doing the assessment with them, I'm asking them, so how's your mental health state? And this is what came up. A couple people were like, yeah, I'm fine. These people were mostly working in the front desk, reception area. And then there were a group of people that said, yeah, I'm totally stressed, multiple levels of the organization. But it's cool. I got it. I love my job. I'm good. It's all good. And this is where my heart broke. The majority of the people in my boot camps had anxiety. The majority of the people who had anxiety were medicated. Every single person in this group was medicated. In this group, and again, these are self-assessed people, there were people who told me they were completely checked out and numb. Think about that. Do you want to work with this person? There was a woman in the numb group who actually said to me, I operate from 100% fear all the time. Yeah, that absolutely makes your heart break. So given this a self-assessment, we then went further to ask about behavior and how they were showing up in the workplace. And again, this is what they said. Because of all of my anxiety, I micromanage a lot. I'm always easily angered. I'm noticing that I'm disengaged. But here was the stuff that was really hard to hear, especially to report back. The companies were leaving productivity on the table. These employees were withholding their ideas. They were withholding their contribution. And they were constantly reactive. When you are triggered, what happens? You stop breathing, the executive functioning starts to shut down. You're not being as creative as you could be, right? This is such a bummer. But then I took it a step further and I was like, I wonder what the unmet needs are for this group. And I assumed, as probably many of you, safety and belonging, right? Nope. So yeah, some people, totally, wanted more trust, more connection, you bet. Who doesn't? Come to the Healthy Masculinity Fishbowl. My God, that's so awesome. Some people wanted purpose. That makes sense? We have companies who do that all day long. Some people wanted to be heard and seen, absolutely. And a majority of them wanted safety and belonging. The greatest unmet need, actually something that Josh talked about yesterday, was, am I valuable to you? Does what I do matter? And why the heck aren't you letting me know? Because I don't. I'm good? What? I just got timed, and it wasn't pretty. Thank you. So how are we recognizing our employees? Who here feels recognized? That's the job. You're like, yeah. Okay, keep those hands up and take them down if the next question, take them down. Who here feels appreciated? Who here knows the difference? Thank you. Thank you for your vulnerability. Recognition is about behavior. Appreciation is about well-being. Let me paint this really easily for you. Recognition is about left hemisphere experience. Appreciation is right hemisphere experience. It is your responsibility as employees and leaders, because every one of you is a leader, to become masterful in accessing all parts of your brain. Recognition acknowledges the human doing aspect of your employees. Appreciation acknowledges the human being aspect of your employees. Y'all are building companies. Y'all need human doings, okay? But you got to balance that with the human being essence of who we are. So this is a book that I don't recommend. That's why you got a slide. It is called The 5 Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace by Gary Chapman. You can also find appreciation assessments for $15 online. Or you can get my free handout and it's all in there. Save you some money. In the book, Gary says, through all his surveys, all his assessments, when the single highest driver of engagement is whether or not workers feel their managers are genuinely interested in their well-being. When someone is feeling appreciated, their engagement skyrockets. It's free. Appreciate the hell out of people. And watch your bottom line increase. I dare you. 4th level of belonging is I am safe at my company. Really learn how to do this, people. Come talk to me if you want to know more about it. So I want to leave you with one last thought. Who is surprised by this sentence? Nice, thank you for that. Fitting in, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Fitting in is the opposite of belonging. Fitting in is about making sure I am not being ridiculed, humiliated, neglected, excluded, shamed. I don't stand out in some weird way and get made fun of. Fitting in is about avoiding the pain of exclusion. Belonging is all about being safe to be you. When you are able to feel safe in your own skin, safe to express yourself, safe on your team, and safe at your company, that's when we'll start to change the world. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you.